Hi there, Peggy Reyes from Branson International Film Festival, and I am so excited to be able to interview Isaac Hernandez today, all the way from Tejas. Is that how you would say it?
Yes,
Tejas.
Tejas.
Tejas. Yes. So I have the honor of meeting you a couple of years ago, and then got to see you again at our festival for this year, 2021. And I do have a little question. Are you planning on being with us for 2022?
No, I figured 1 year was good enough. No, of course I am.
Well,
Absolutely.
we kind of think of you as a staple for our film festival. We're always honored to have you there. I think this last year was great when you set up and had the interviews. So hopefully that was mutually beneficial for you as well. And I know that the folks that were there really enjoyed being able to meet you and network with you as well. So
Great.
we would love to keep that tradition going.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. So I just want to give a little bit of introduction for those who may not know much about Isaac Hernandez. You are an actor and writer. You're known for Faith on Film, which you've been doing for the last few years and have had guests such as Dallas Jenkins, Bruce Marciano, Tina Gallo, Candace Kirkpatrick, Kevin and Sam Sorbo, and the list goes on and on and on. I see them all the time on Facebook. And you have been in the industry longer than a few years, though. So tell us about you. Tell us about Isaac Hernandez and kind of your journey in this industry.
Well, you mentioned right off the top actor. I'm not sure how accurate that would be because I've never really acted in movies. When I was a kid, I acted in some stage plays, but I have always wanted to be an actor. But it just, at least it hasn't been in the cards up until now. Hopefully, it will be soon. There is a gentleman that wants to produce a movie and have me be one of the actors in it. So I look forward to it because I always did want to do that. It's just that when I was a kid, my dad, I got an audition. I actually got an agent, and he got me an audition at Paramount Studios. And when we went to the audition, my dad my dad took me. I was only about, I'm going to say maybe, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. And my dad took me. And when we went into the room where everybody was at, he just didn't like what he saw. I was raised in a very traditional Christian home, and he didn't like what he, I guess, considered the element of what was there. And so he said, no, this is not for you. And we turned around and left. I was so disappointed. I was oh my gosh, I just was so looking forward to doing this. But, I think it was God's plan that he had something for me that was different than that. I ended up, in Christian media for pretty much all my life now. But I'm kind of looking forward to maybe reviving that a little bit. So that's my acting story.
Yes.
Other than that, I believe that what I've been doing for my entire 40, almost 50 years of my life, I guess, has been in a journey of being very heavily involved in the Christian media world. Most of it in television. I worked for really the largest Christian network in the world that there is. That was Trinity Broadcasting Network for oh my goodness, well over 25 years. And other than that, I've pretty much stuck to Christian media. So I know it was God.
Yes, for sure. And so you've been to our festival since year one. And what's something that you've noticed that has happened over the years for the Branson Film Festival?
Well, I have noticed there definitely has been growth. Hasn't been a humongous growth, but there has been steady growth on it. And I do notice that there's a lot of great films that come through. So I haven't seen a lot of people come to the festival. It's still kind of in that smaller stage, which kind of makes it good though, because you really do get to connect with people at a very personal level. But the films that are coming in are really quite amazing, and they're coming in from all over the world. Some people actually did come from all over the world. I remember these folks from Greece that
Yes.
came into the year before. But I have noticed just the quality of films really begin to to rise in some of the films that come through the festival.
Yes. And like you said, I think that people appreciate the intimacy as well at the film festival. So, I've heard comments about that too, is that, that intimacy and really being able to connect with people.
Correct.
And so that's one of our goals, of course, for the film festival is education, but also being that connection for people. So having that venue for that connection. So
yeah,
so we
and there really
appreciate
is value in that, because I know on this last this one that I was at last year, I had the privilege of being one of the keynote speakers on one of the sessions, and out of that came the possibility that I will be directing my first feature film this coming year.
Wow.
So there was huge value on it. I
Yes.
spoke, these ladies heard me, and I don't know what I said, but something touched them, something impressed them, and they said, we want to do this for you. So definitely.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So are you keeping that a secret? Because I don't think I
Well,
know about that. Maybe Deborah knows, but I don't know about that.
No, I mean, I'm not good at secrets. I'd like to just share everything. So I won't say what film or who maybe, but it's coming. So
Yes. Awesome. So that is moving forward.
That's moving forward so far. Yes.
Perfect.
I'm excited about it.
That's amazing.
We should be, if everything goes to plan here, we should be probably in production. I don't know, maybe the spring of next year.
Amazing.
2022.
That's awesome. So I know for you, we have a personal connection from California. And so you moved last year, I think it was, or is it this year? Earlier this year?
This year, right around March.
From California to Texas. So how is it being a Texan?
I love it. I love it here. I've outside of 7 years that I lived in New York, and that was when I was like in my 20s, a long time ago. I've lived in California all my life, grew up there. And so to suddenly have such a drastic change, never did I think I would be coming to Texas. That was never something like, oh, one day I think I want to go to Texas. But I came July a year ago to bring my son. He moved here. And when I got here, I just fell in love with the place. And I said, I got to move here. So it took me a few more months, but I was able to move over here. And it's so peaceful to me. I don't know why. It's very country where I live. In fact, my neighbors, and I say this whenever I get interviewed, is that my neighbors are cattle. I mean, I'm neighboring a cattle ranch. So I have these cows that come over to my, basically to my backyard. And there's something about them that just seems to bring a lot of peace to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So much.
And you celebrated a wedding anniversary yesterday. So happy anniversary to you and your wife. And how many years?
It's 42 years yesterday, and it's been the best 7 years of my life, I tell you. They've all been wonderful. They've all been wonderful.
That's awesome. And so how is she adjusting from California to Texas?
She adjusted very well. I won't say that she is as much in love with it as I am, because I'm just blown away of the air. I mean, I just can't even say enough how thrilled I am to be here. She's happy here. She likes it. She loves the cows too, which was at first was like, wait a minute. When she saw a picture, she goes, "There's cows next to our house." Oh, she thought that was a terrible thing. She's loving it. So yes, she's doing fine. Of course, remember that our son came here first, then I came. Our daughter followed us like 2 months later, so she's living here as well. And I've got my other daughter who already sent her kids here, so they're living with us right now until they move. Probably within another 3-4 months, they should be here.
Right. Well, congratulations. And I know you had one of your grandsons with you at the festival this last year.
Yeah.
And so I got to kind of drive him around a little bit and
That's
show show him some of Branson. So that was a lot of fun. So
Yeah, he's a good
awesome.
kid. He's taking he's in school right now. The high school that they go to is very much into careers type of a thing, and so they have like mechanics class and nursing and all kinds of stuff, and they have a theatrical class too that he's taking. He's taking theater, so
Oh, okay. So
I'm hoping that he really grabs onto that.
well, that's what I was going to say. So you've been in this industry for so long. Did any of your children or grandchildren ever have any of that interest in what you do?
The only one from my children, now my daughter, my oldest daughter, had interest mostly in helping me. So she didn't really get interested in the career itself as much as it's just that she wanted to help me. So
Yeah.
she did work with me for a while, but I wouldn't say she's in the industry. My other daughter, none at all. My son did, and actually became a cameraman for a while. Started to work at Trinity Broadcasting a bit, and even did a few shows in Hollywood. Because I have a brother, my youngest brother, who works in Hollywood. He works on The Voice and a bunch of other shows, and so he got him in there. So the opportunity was great for him, but it just wasn't. How would I say? He didn't feel that was his calling, and he felt very much called to join the military. So he ended up joining the military. He spent 7 years as an Army Ranger. Came back, tried to go back into media as a camera operator, but was rather bored because he experienced some very serious stuff. And now, sitting behind a camera just didn't feel exciting enough for him. So no, none of my kids are in the business per se. As far as my grandkids, not really. I mean, they've done it to help me out, but no, I haven't seen somebody yet go, wow, this is what I want to do.
Right.
I'm still hoping.
Yeah. Well, maybe your grandson. We'll see.
I hope so. I hope so.
So if you could pinpoint one area that all filmmakers could improve on, what do you think it would be?
Ooh, there really is so many that maybe one filmmaker has everything but one thing, another filmmaker has other things, but in terms of low budget type films, which most faith-based films are, some of the areas where I'm going to say the biggest area where they tend to lack is actually in the scripting, in the story. There just isn't enough. There doesn't seem to be enough meat in the story, and so that to me would be one of the biggest improvements. There quality issues, yeah, of course, because of budgets. They sometimes they might not have the best of gear. They might not have enough money for good post-production, so coloring may not be right, perfect audio. So there's a lot of things, but to me, one of the things that probably would be most important is to get those scripts to be a little bit more I don't even know what the word would be, but just to improve on the scripting, I think.
Right.
Especially dialogue. Dialogue seems to be very difficult, and I don't even know what it is. I'm not a screenwriter, so I have no idea, but I know that when I'm hearing it or when I'm reading it, I can tell which ones would really grab me, with the dialogue, and which ones don't.
Right. And we had some of that at the film festival this last year, where we had script writers. And I think that everybody really enjoyed that part of it, of the film festival this year. Right. So I'm hoping that we're going to include that for next year as well, because I think that even just the general audience liked hearing about people's story concepts, and where they could go with that. So
yeah, because I mean, a lot of people say that Christian movies are cheesy. What makes them cheesy? I don't even think it's the technical quality. For the most part, it's probably the story, and again, the script writing, the dialogue of how they talk, things like that. I think that's what sometimes makes it feel cheesy.
Yeah, and I think that people are broadening out into maybe a different genre of faith family films, and so that the message of the faith is not so much in the forefront, but just kind of in the body of the whole project itself. But the genres are different, like a sci-fi, or they're looking at different genres, still keeping it a faith family film, but different genres, so that doesn't have that cheesy, like you said.
That's true. And a lot of times people think that if it's a faith film, it has to be family.
Yeah.
And that's not really the case. I mean, you could have a faith film that's only intended for a more mature audience. And I think that's one of the problems, is they try to make it so that the kids can come watch it as well. And so therefore it doesn't have that, edginess, perhaps. At this specific, by the way, at the first Branson Film Festival was where I first made the comment that maybe some producers might want to consider starting to make, and I said this word, I said Christian horror films.
Right.
And believe me, people were looking at me like I was going to head straight to hell. But it kind of caught on, because I mentioned it again at another film festival, and a gentleman came up and he said, "Man, I'm glad you're saying that, because I just finished a Christian zombie film." And so I said, "You got to send it to me so I can look at it." And I'm not into zombie films, but I could see, first of all, the message. There was a Christian message, but it was encapsulated in this zombie film. And I think more and more people are starting to make those kind of films, which are going to attract a different audience than the mom and the grandma, who are the ones that bring normally the films into the household for the whole family to watch. But the whole family says, that's not really what I want to watch. So I'm glad people are starting to get out there with that.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, that is going to bring the gospel message to a totally different audience who wouldn't normally, and especially if it's not, labeled as a Christian film, it's just a horror film or a zombie film, but then they go and they hear the message, of salvation, and not really labeled, as a Christian film. So I look forward to those kinds of things in the future as well. I mean, I'm not a horror flick, genre person either, but I think that it's going to meet an audience that I wouldn't normally meet. So I think that's good.
The film that my first feature film that I will be directing is a thriller.
Nice. And I like thriller. Mystery, but horror, not so much.
It's not horror. This one is thriller, suspense stuff.
Yes.
But you know what? I did see a film that a friend of mine wrote, came out several years ago, which was a rapture film, but it was more on a horror genre, and I absolutely loved it. It's again a rapture film. It's called The Remaining. So if you guys haven't seen that, you might want to check that out. The Remaining. It does have a bit of a horror style, but it's about the rapture.
The Remaining.
The Remaining.
Okay, we'll check it out. Everybody, check that out. The Remaining. And then we would like everyone, of course, to subscribe to your YouTube page and check out some of the interviews that you've done over the years. And where else can they follow your work?
Well, of course, they can follow me on Facebook, on Faith on Film TV. So if they go to Facebook, they can follow me personally, but how you have that maximum of 5,000, people that can follow you. So I keep reaching it, and then I'll try to, kind of, I hate to say get rid of, but I try to purge it a little bit. So that maybe new ones can come in, but they come in as fast as I purge. But if they go to Faith on Film TV on Facebook, then that's limitless. So they can certainly like that and follow me there. But definitely the YouTube channel, if they go there and look for Faith on Film TV, it'd be great if they subscribe to that. I'm about to reach show number 100. I'm about to. So I've done a lot. And by the way, I'll go ahead and let this out. Show number 1 was with Nancy Stafford. Okay. When I said I was going to do the show, she called me up and she said, "I want to be your first guest." So she was my first guest. Well, guess what? She's going to be my 100th guest. So she'll be on 1 and 100. If you go to YouTube, you can check out her first show, and then in another, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks or so, you'll see show number 100.
So if you want to check out everything Branson Film Festival, make sure that you go to our webpage, which is bransonfilmfestival.com. and you can sign up for our email there, and that's going to give you all the information about our film festival. And then also all of these interviews that I'm doing are going to be included in that email distributions. Isaac, we really appreciate you coming on with us today.
That's my pleasure.
Giving us a little update, and then of course we look forward to seeing you April of next year.
I'll be there.
All right, thank you.